You are on the air.
Thank you. So, good evening or good morning. I don't know. We have an audience from all around the world, I guess. So, I'm happy to present you web development tools for VFP developers. And here is the agenda that I'm proposing to you. I'm going to spend 5 minutes recalling some web development basics that I think are necessary to make everybody understand the same. Then I tell you who I am, why I'm doing that, and how I think I can do it and can help you on web development, which is a toolkit we're going to work on. We're going to present you the tools, and then we're going to spend most of the time playing with the tools that we've been discussing before, and then have 5 minutes to give you some of the experience I can share with you and maybe answer some questions you might have on the presentation. I think some people still have sound issues. I can see messages popping up. Maybe we can fix that.
Yep, I'll chat with them.
Okay. Oh, so what are the web development basics that you need to have in mind? The first thing is that you're working with a protocol that is called HTTP. Everybody knows this word HTTP because it starts in any URL you're going to type in your browser. But HTTP means you have a request on one side and a response on the other side. There is nothing else but a request and a response. It's quite simple, and everything is text. And a request is made of a URL, which is HTTP, etc. Then you have a verb saying whether you want to get something or post data. And then you can have parameters in a request. You can have either a query string in the URL, it's everything after the question mark, or you can have data in a post. And you can have additional data like cookies, like any other parameters that your browser can set, and this data can be in the body. It means that a request is fairly complex. You can have many places where you can play on the way you're gonna run this request. And on the other end, the response is built almost the same with a header. And you can have a status code that says whether the request could be processed or not. You can have cookies back, and you have a body in this response. And this body can be HTML in most of the cases, or it can be whatever other language, XML, etc. What I want to insist on is that this is stateless. It means that in VFP, we are all used to have one application instance for one user. So everyone works in the same closed area. In HTTP, you can have n number of clients for a number of application servers, and each server doesn't know what the client has done before. It's just like in a restaurant. You have many clients for many servers, and the server must be able to serve any client at any point of time. So it's not something closed as we used to in FoxPro. Something N relation. Okay, so another web development basic is on the client. As you know, the client uses HTML. And HTML is linked to, HTML is only for the content, which is structured. There is a hierarchy within HTML. And the contents is displayed as the CSS explains with directives, and it can be altered by JavaScript. I mean, JavaScript is able to change either the contents or the appearance. And all this is linked by something that I think is very important, which are selectors. Selectors is a kind of regular expression, a kind of filter to apply CSS to some HTML and not the rest, to filter the HTML on which the CSS will apply, or the JavaScript. When you write JavaScript, you will use selectors to affect particular HTML elements or CSS elements. And all of this is only text. It's nothing but text. It's a given syntax, but it's only text. So there is a difference between VFP and the web. On VFP, everything is in a single place. Again, it's monolithic. I mean, you have a property sheet where you can find everything. In the web, you have 3 independent languages that are linked together but are independent. And HTML5 can be with CSS1 or 2 or 3, and JavaScript is a different language which is managed by ECMA. ECMA means normalization structure in Geneva, and everyone lives its own life. I mean, there is no real connection between those 3. There is also a trick that you must be aware of, is that in the web, in VFP, the positioning is only absolute. Everything is positioned within its parent, while in CSS, you have several kinds of positioning. The default positioning is flow. It means that the elements are stacked either top down or right left, or left right, sorry, or right to left, according to the language you use. But you also have a float positioning in HTML, which means that an element can be positioned and all the other elements will flow around this element. And you can also have absolute positioning like in VFP, or you can have fixed positioning within the document. So it means that the rendering is not what we are used to in FoxPro. And also what is different is the meaning of the semicolon. The semicolon means a continuation in VFP, and it means an end in CSS or JavaScript. So this has to be taken into account. And the main issue is that, again, VFP, you always have the same result. If you use VFP 9, normally, whether you're on, you may have some little differences, whether you're on Windows XP or Windows whatever 7. But with HTML, you have big differences in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, cross-browser. I mean, the main issues are on Internet Explorer. The other browsers are very standard. Like Internet Explorer is a real pain. It's a real pain. Even now with Internet Explorer 10, you still have many surprises with IE. So as people usually say, IE sucks. The other point I wanted to make is about the server. I mean, you have normally you have IIS with your any Windows edition, starting with professional, I think, but Windows 7, Windows 8, you always have IIS. What you need to know that is not obvious is that IIS or any web server is designed to defer processing a request to an external module. The standard design is so. So the IIS, the server will watch the URL extension like PHP, ASP, and will see if there is any module that is able to process this request. And if it doesn't find any module, then it will serve a static file with the same name as the URL you've given. So it means that it's designed to run something external. So VFP is just an external module, just the same as PHP or ASP or ASPX. So it's the way it works. The thing that has changed a lot in IIS along the versions, like version 6, version 7, 7.5, and 8, the security is always tighter. So as there is a lot of impersonation going on, each component may run under a different account, and you have to watch for these account and security that are NTFS securities on the various files you want to run on. So this is becoming harder and more difficult to cope with those security issues. So as a conclusion to the web development basics, you come from a monolithic world to a very spreaded multiple world. So my guess is that we should pick some very simple tools to make all this work without having an additional burden of mastering the tools we are working on. So now let me tell you a little bit more about who I am and what kind of experience I can share with you. So I was the founder and I'm the CEO of Ajax, and Ajax is a French company in Paris. So we've been making along the years a number of products like desktop catalogs, like web catalogs, and now we are now running on. I mean, we are now working much on Foxing Cloud, which is a desktop to web application adapter. So maybe you haven't seen the Foxing Cloud site. Yes, so here it is. This is the Foxing Cloud site, and you can see some demos of a FoxPro application working on task traders, and which is running on the web with the medium of Foxing Cloud, etc., etc. And we have given also some services around this, like data-driven paper catalogs, like CD-ROM catalogs, and websites. For instance, here is a website we've just we've turned out recently, which is a professional website with a searching capability. If we click here, we'll have a search on this keyword, and this keyword will drive a given number of companies. And we can also have a lot of fancy things like this, and maybe also some Ajax things like this. That means that this form has been generated by Ajax. You can see
Go a little,
kind of
little slower there, Thierry. Our screens aren't updating as fast as you're going on those.
Okay. I'm gonna go slower. So here is an example. So what is important is that everything we've always made was driven by FoxPro, and it's still driven by FoxPro. So we've been working quite a bit with FoxPro and the web. So what we believe from our desktop and web development experience is that it's very difficult today to target all the platforms that are growing around, like iOS, Mac OS, iOS, and of course Windows, and also Android. So we think that web development is a fine track for any business application. And we also see we've been monitoring the web development evolution for 10 years, and it's grown quite high. I mean, the expectation of the clients is quite high, and everything has been running fast. So if you want to go to the web, you better not change everything at once. I mean, you got to find an easy track. I mean, a simple track to move your skills from what you can do now as VFP developer on the web. I mean, if you change everything, like the language, like the environment, like the operating system, I think you will get lost very fast. So my advice would be to concentrate on the base technologies, which are HTML, CSS, JavaScript, HTTP, and have a simple implementation as much as you can. If you want to have some experience, there's some results. So we're going to share what we know of our experience. We're going to try to keep it simple, and maybe give you some tools that help you learn gradually at your pace on a trial and error basis. Sorry. So now let's see the toolkits that maybe you can start with and build upon. There are two colors in this chart. The red is for everything that is static, and green for what is dynamic. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, you can have static web, which is only delivering files, and these files cannot be changed. They are delivered and displayed for once. Then you can be dynamic at two levels. You can be dynamic on the client, or you can be dynamic on the server. Being dynamic on the client means using some JavaScript to change either the contents or the display of the page. And that's where you're going to be using JavaScript. And being dynamic on a server means being able to generate the HTML based on some data, like tables, like database, like whatever. So let's consider those two levels. Then the tools you need are on either the client or on the server. You need both, actually. You need some tools on the client, and you need them on the server. And then you need a different level of tools. You need some IDE to produce your code. You need some libraries to make it easier, faster, and more productive. And I think which is much more important for all of us is that you need some debugging too. Because when you enter something new, it's better to have something that you can debug easily and learn from debugging by trial and error. That's what came out of our experience anyway. So in the IDE, let's concentrate on the client side. In the IDE, you only need a text editor. I mean, and you will use the browser as something to see what you do. I mean, I don't think there is any, and I haven't seen any web designer today working with something visual like we have in FoxPro, where you can have objects that you can drop on the page and see what's going on. I know that you can do that with Visual Studio, but I haven't seen any serious web designer using that. The web designer only work in code using Notepad++ or Sublime Text or PSPad. For the demonstration, I will be showing Sublime Text, which is a newer editor, which is really nice. Really nice. For the browser, I will use Firefox because there is Google Chrome now. I prefer Firefox because I think, the closest to the standard and the one that we've always been using. For the libraries, you definitely need to use a library for addressing cross-browser issues. If you enter the source code, I mean, there are so many differences between Internet Explorer and the other browsers that you're going to get lost very, very fast. The good track is to use jQuery. We've been using Prototype for years. We still use Prototype, which is another library. There are about 5 or 6 JavaScript library around. But now we are moving to jQuery because it's much easier. The documentation is much clearer. You have a bunch of documentation and you have also many users. So jQuery was one of the last libraries coming out, but it was the one which took the whole market, I would say. And it was written by someone who has been working closely with Mozilla, which is called John Rezek. If you want to also have the equivalent for HTML and CSS, you can use Bootstrap, which was written and delivered by Twitter. We don't use it right now, but we've heard that it was a real easy way to address the cross-browser, the CSS cross-browser issues. So unfortunately, I won't be able to show it today, but maybe another time, or maybe someone else can make a presentation on Bootstrap, which is definitely the winner in terms of how many people use it. I try to concentrate on tools that many people use because as a VFP developer, we can't afford to enter very specific tools that have a few community with geeks. I mean, these tools we are working on here have a large user base and people that can help you almost everywhere. And for the debugging, the tools that we use is obviously Firebug, which was written by someone from the Facebook development team back in 2005 or 6, and has been expanded since now. So I view it as really the most simple debugging browser debugging tool that I've been using in the years, and you will see why later on. So now, if you go to the server, which is the second column, the IDE will be the IIS as the standard web server for Windows. And of course, I would recommend to use VFP to generate HTML. But obviously, you will need something in between the web server and VFP. So you have quite a bit of solutions in VFP. You have Active VFP that was written by Claude Fox. You have FoxWeb that I don't know very well. And we have Westwind Web Connect. Westwind Web Connect is the one I shall present tonight for two reasons. The first reason is that Westwind allows you to write either scripting or plain code. I will show you both examples, and you will see that with plain code, you have much more debugging capabilities than you have with scripting. And scripting is what Active VFP and FoxWeb do. So in my opinion, it's easier as a VFP developer. I was always immediately I was comfortable with debugging in Westwind Web Connect just because I could use the VFP debugger just as I did before. So, and I will show that later on. You will see that it's quite convenient to do. So now I just wanted to show you that you should have your IIS in your installation. Unfortunately, I use French Windows, but I think the screen, I mean, the phone should be almost the same for you, and it's part of the Windows installation, and you can install it or modify it here easily through your Windows installation. So it's not always installed standard, so you better make sure that you have it or not. And once you've installed IIS, you have this kind of user interface. You see here on my computer has two sites. One is the default website, and the second is the one I set up for this demonstration tonight. And this website has a given number of features and a given number of files which are within the site. So this is what we're going to explore together, and have connected this website to the 81 port. So that the 80 port is for the standard website, and this OFUG website is on the 81 port. Okay, so now let's try with a very simple page. And on this page, everything is static. The client is static and the server is static. Everything is static. And then we shall move with a dynamic client, a static server, and a static client and dynamic server. So here we are. Oh, the only thing we made is have a little JavaScript to show you that you can, how you can write some simple JavaScript. So maybe it's going to be very simple to everyone. The only thing that you may not have seen right now is the Firebug as a Firefox extension. So once you have Firefox, if you want to install Firebug, you just go to Tools and then Add-on, and in Add-on you will type here, you will type Firebug, and you will simply install Firebug, whatever current version you have, and Firebug will update automatically as well as Firefox will update automatically, so you always have the latest version. So in Firebug you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 panes. The first pane is called the console. So the console is very similar to the VFP command window combined with the VFP debugger for some aspect. So for instance, you can type a D, you will have everything that begins with a D in the browser. Then you can have a dot, then you will have every method that can be used with the document. For instance, we're going to say what's location, location. Then you can type maybe href, and you will see that the location of the current document is localhost 81 OFUG static.html. You can even do that like you do in the command window. You can do it here. You can see this little sign is either single line or multiple line. And if you go to multiple line,
Thierry, will you maximize that so we can see it a little better?
Yeah.
The browser. Yeah, it's a little clearer.
Like this. Okay.
Yeah, that's clear. Thanks.
Okay, so in history, you can have everything that you've done before. So maybe you can do this. You can say var, say href equals to document location href, and then you can say alert href, and then you can run that, and you will have an alert in your page saying which is the href of the current document. So here we are running something very similar to FoxPro. What you can do here also is have some debugging messages. For instance, you can say, I want to say console dot log something like a test, and you will have this. And you can write this kind of instruction in your JavaScript program so that you can, just as you would say debug out in FoxPro, you can type whatever you want in this console. And also, this console will display all the errors that you might have in your program. For instance, here in this, let's see the source code. In this example, I have a CSS directive which is not correct. This CSS directive is not correct. Well, by default, Firebug will not shine for this error. But if I ask Firebug to stop on CSS errors, like maybe here, I'm going to say show CSS errors, and then I reload the page, I will have this error coming out. You see, unknown property font type declaration get dropped. It's considered as a warning because it doesn't break the whole CSS, but at least you know that you have a wrong directive in your CSS. Okay? What you can do here too is okay. I think we've done it all. Now you can go to another pane, which is HTML. In HTML, you have the current state of the document. You must be aware that there might be a difference between the HTML you see here and the HTML you see in the source, because this is what was loaded initially. But if you do some change in the HTML by JavaScript, this pane will show you what you have changed. For instance, let's say I want to change this H1. I want to change it differently. I can edit it and maybe add an S. And if I add an S, the S is here, as you can see immediately, which is an original feature of Firebug compared to Google, from what I saw, compared to Google developer tools. Here you have something immediate. And if I say, okay, you can see that the HTML here is different from what you have here, because here you only have the initial page that was loaded from the server. So if you do anything like changing the content of the page, this will be reflected in this page. And also what you have here is the style that is applicable to this element. You see this H1 has font weight bold because we defined it in our CSS. We said H1 should have font weight bold. And also there are some other instructions that come from HTML.css, which is the system from Firefox. So you know exactly what kind of directive, CSS directive is applied to any element in the page. So you can see here what is applicable. You can see here what is computed. So everything that is by default, that is not explicitly set here, it's here. And then you can see the layout. So the layout is very interesting because you can highlight your element and see whatever is interesting and see the ruler on the element. And also you will have what is called DOM, which is everything that you need to modify the element by JavaScript, all the properties of the element that you would need for JavaScript. So here we have something that is very, I think, you can very much compare with what you have in FoxPro debugger. So if you run a form, for instance, you will be, you have a debugger here. So you have all, maybe you can enlarge that and change, I guess I'm going to change the font to have it larger. Let's say 18. So here, what you have usually in in the FoxPro debugger, you will find it in here, like all the properties, and it will be split actually in all those elements, so it's quite comparable. Okay, what else? So now we can get back to our document. Okay, all right. Okay, maybe I can put it back here. Now, let's see the source file. Now, the second tools that you need is a text editor. So let's, maybe you can put it a little larger. Let me see if I can put it larger. Yeah, larger. Oh, sorry. Tools, view. Font, control keypad plus. So here you can see the document, which is the same. So what do we have here? We have a body directive, we have an H1 directive, we have a class that is called OFUG, and we have a H2 with a wrong directive, as we saw. And then we have something that is interesting here, which is the script with the alert that you saw. We saw this message box popping up, and we have another instruction, which is debugger. If I uncomment this instruction and save the file, and then get back here, and I reload. By the way, reload is F5. When you want to reload the document from the server, you hit F5. And then, as you see here, I've put a breakpoint. That is exactly the same as what you would do with set step on. Debugger means that the execution will stop wherever you have this instruction, and you will automatically enter the debugger. So again, I'm insisting on that. Debugging is very, very critical in the web. So you can see that you have almost the same capability as you are used to with in FoxPro, and then you can either step into, step over, or step out. Exactly the same as in FoxPro, you have step into, step over, or step out. Exactly the same. Then you simply run that. And then, of course, the alert executes, and we have the message box popping in. Okay. Okay, let's get back here. So that was the most simple example that we could see with nothing changing. So it's only a file that we've picked on the server. Now, let's try something more. Now, let's try something dynamic on the client. Let's see how we can, using the tools we have, how we can change something on the client. So what we're going to do is a page where we can load local content on a click. So we're going to be able to implement an event and change the content of the page. Yeah, here we are. So now we have a paragraph with local user interaction. It means that nothing is going to go to the server. We're going to stay here on the client and change the contents of the page. So what are we going to do here? We can see here in the script, we're going to change, we have changed the cursor to a pointer. That's true. We've changed it. And if we click on this paragraph, we will change the color to red, and we had OFUG to the paragraph contents. So let's try that. Okay, we've changed it to red, and we've added OFUG. If we do it again, we'll add another OFUG, etc., etc. So let's go to this paragraph. By the way, you have this this command here, this little button that allows you to pick any element in the page. Much easier than in FoxPro, where you have to drill down all your containers. So here, you can see here, this has changed. Let's load the page again. Okay, we are on the paragraph. We just have cursor pointer. This means that we have a specific, by JavaScript, JavaScript has changed the style of this particular element because we have written a program to do that. Now, if we click here we'll have another instructions popping up, which is color red. I mean, the color red has been assigned to this specific element. By the way, here you can see that I can remove this. I can ignore this instruction or select this instruction. It's very convenient to see the influence of a given CSS instruction. And so if I type it here, you can see that I had an OFUG that has been added to, if I click again, I have another OFUG popping up. If I click again, I have another OFUG. So what you can see here is that you're able to see immediately in Firebug what is inside the page. I mean, it's very interesting. It's something that I like very much with Firebug, is that it's instantaneous. If I change here, if I say blue or black, it's instantaneous. You don't have to wait or to validate anything. It's a very convenient tool, exactly like in FoxPro. If you go to the FoxPro debugger and you change any property, it's immediately reflected to whatever you see. Not the debugger, the property sheet. And here, it's exactly the same. Okay, so you can say yellow, for instance. Okay, yellow, it's yellow. It's immediate. If you say escape, it reverts to whatever it was before. So now, maybe we're gonna see how the program, how the page is made. So we get back to our text editor. So nothing has changed. The CSS is exactly the same as it was before, but now we have added a new element, which is jQuery. Here, what is interesting is that you can get jQuery from the web. You don't need to put it on your server. You can just grab it from the web by typing this URL, and you can have the latest version if you want. You can be updated. So now we have a JavaScript. This JavaScript will execute whenever you load the page. And what does this JavaScript do? First, you need to know that $sign means jQuery. It means that we are asking jQuery to do something. So what we do here with jQuery is assign a handler to the ready event of the document. In HTML, it's exactly the same as in FoxPro. In FoxPro, you have the init. The init event executes when the form is completely loaded. And here it's exactly the same. The ready event executes when the document is completely loaded. So you tell him, when the document is ready, please execute this function. And the function is defined this way. Function, open, close parentheses, open, close curly brace, and instructions. This is something specific to JavaScript. If you don't know JavaScript, a function can be defined as a string, as a number, with a literal. This is a literal for a function. And this function will be executed when the document is ready. So what you do here is you take the paragraph element, which ID is PAR1. As you can see here, this is the ID of this paragraph. And this is something nice with Sublime Text, is that when you select something, it will show you all the occurrences of this string throughout the page. So you can see here immediately. And by the way, this # PAR1 is a selector. That's why we call the selector from the beginning. This means that jQuery is going to find all the elements that have an ID of PAR1, and obviously there's only one in the page. So by the way, we can do this also in the console. If I do that and I type PAR1, you see? Okay, let's do it again. Oh, sorry. Okay, PAR1 is an object, and this object is here. If you over this definition, it will show you the object that was selected by jQuery. So I hope you can see the relation between all these elements. So this paragraph, PAR1, I want to change when the document is ready. When the document is ready, I want to change the cursor to pointer. That's what we did. And I want to assign a handler to the click event. This will assign a handler to the click event. I say click, and I say when click happens, execute this function. It's just like if you were writing a method in FoxPro, except that it's within another function. So JavaScript is always a set of functions that they call each other. And this function, what will this function do? This function will call $this. This will assign the paragraph element, because in JavaScript, I mean in a event handler, this always refers to the element that was the target of the event. It will change the color to red. So how do we do that? We say CSS color red, simply. That's the beauty of jQuery. It's very simple to understand. And then we say change the HTML to the previous HTML plus OFUG. So it will add the OFUG content to the HTML. And that's how it works. Now, if we load the page and click here, oh, I have a bunch of warnings here. Font type is not correct. Okay. So let's remove the CSS warnings, maybe it will be clearer. Okay, I don't show the CSS, clear it. Okay. That's it. That's what I wanted to show you for dynamic content. But this dynamic content has nothing to do with the server. It's a local content. So what you will have to do somehow also is to load some content from the server, not only from what is in the page, but from the server. Let's try that. So now this paragraph, it's the same. We have a click event, we have a cursor, we have a pointer, I mean. And then if we click on it, we're going to get the data from the server. So to make sure of that, I'm going to open the log of the server. How is it? 16th, okay. Okay, and then, okay, let's close it. And let's, okay, that's what we've just done. We just opened this file. So this is okay. We've opened the dynamic2static.html. That's correct. Now I'm going to close it, but I don't think it's dynamic, so I need to close it first. And then I click on here. Oops. Okay, it's written here. You see that I have a request that went to the server to get OFUG.Ajax. And OFUG.Ajax means I had a HTTP request with a header and a response header and a request header. And then I had a response from the server, which is this OFUG paragraph from server, which is an HTML fragment to be added to the page through Ajax. And if I want to see it in HTML, that's what it looks like. So I'm sure now that I had a request on the server. Now I want to make sure that this request was really received by the server. Okay, it's here. Now we have this second request here, OFUG Ajax. So you see here, we had from a JavaScript, we are able to send a request to the server, HTTP request, get the response and inject it into the page. That's the basic of Ajax. Now let's see how this code looks like. So the beginning is exactly the same. We still use jQuery. Now we change what we do in the ready function. Oh, especially what we do in the click function. So it's a little more complicated now, but we try to make it simple. Here, this is the click function. By the way, this should be, no, it's okay. No, so first we're going to change the color to red. This is the same as we had before. And then after we change the color to red, we're going to say get. Remember the verb get is a HTTP verb. It means in jQuery, it means send an Ajax request with the get keyword. And then you just need to say which is the URL you want to address, which is you don't need to give the whole URL, just the end of the URL. The beginning will be automatically injected to whatever location we are, and then we give a function to be executed when the response comes from the server. So this is the response processing function. So this function will be executed when the request is completed, and jQuery will automatically inject whatever response was received from the server into this parameter, which is HTML capital. So first, we're gonna take the HTML of the parent of the paragraph. So let's see the paragraph here. The paragraph is here, and the parent is the body, actually. So this will take the whole body content, and we'll add the HTML that was received from the server. And this will re-inject this HTML into the body content, because the parent of the paragraph actually is the body. As you can see here, the parent of the paragraph is the body. So we take the body content and add whatever content was received from the server, which is here. So if we do this action again, we will add another paragraph, and we'll add another paragraph, and add another paragraph, etc. Okay? Now this is, and each of these requests will be sent to the server, and we can see here all the requests sent to the server. And of course, obviously, the response time is very low, like 0 millisecond, 10 milliseconds, so it's very fast. Okay, so now we've been able to implement an action in the client that requires data from the server. But the data from the server is still static. If I open it, I can open this file, and this file is simply this one. This is exactly what is queried from the server. We're still running only file service. We're not running anything else but file for now. Okay, so I think now we can enter something more dynamic on the server. And as you know, we are going to use FoxPro for that. And we're going to use Westwind Web Connect for that. So I've set up a small project for you. It's called OFUG. And in this project, let's enlarge the font again. Okay. I have OFUG server and OFUG process. OFUG server is what I'm going to run to expect the request. There is some wiring that I can't explain here because it's too short and I'm already late on my schedule between the RIS web server and the FoxPro web server. Just please consider that there is this linking is done. So now I have two possibilities, either scripting, and scripting means that you have a page, you have a file where you have regular HTML. Let's see that. You have regular HTML, just like here, except that you also have some instructions to be executed on the server. This is to be executed on the server, and this is to be executed on the server. So what will happen is that Westwind Web Connect will read this file and will replace whatever is between these signs by whatever FoxPro can do. So there are two different signs. This one means evaluate an expression, and here we only have date time. We could even have date time plus whatever, say plus 10 seconds maybe. And then here we have another syntax, which means a code block. It means that here we're going to execute a query, for instance. Then we're going to scan this query, and then the rest of the block will be here, and in between this will be made for each of the records that we find. So we're going to say, take the 3 top customers from the task rate customer, order them by company name, and then display the name on the page. And this will run exactly this way. Okay, here we are, we've done it. for the, I mean, what is the time right now? I mean, we have the daytime between both. Here we have the daytime between both, exactly. And then we have the 3 first customers of the TestRaider database that are displayed here. So everything is fine so far, except that maybe, let's see the source. You can see the paragraphs are output here. Everything is fine, maybe, and also the daytime is, of course, it's in French format. I'm sorry, I didn't think of changing it to American format, but otherwise it's the current daytime. Now, what happens if I make a mistake? I'm always concerned about debugging. For instance, I'm gonna write an S here, which will make the file and will make an error, execution error. Oops. So here you can see that there is an error popping up in FoxPro because it will try to address a file that doesn't exist. So and then you will run into trouble because this was generated. File customers doesn't exist. Meaning this is generated. So this gives you a clue of what is happening, but then you'll see the server is not in a clean state. So you have to clear all and then run the server again. And here the client is still running, but you see here that you have some difficulties to debug this kind of page. Now, if I generate another error, like maybe a name that doesn't exist, you see, company name doesn't exist. Okay, so of course, this is not, as you can see, the Westwind has converted what was a text file into a program, like a glove. Actually, the best image is a glove. It's like a glove that you pull out the fingers from a glove. So, but it's still a little tricky to debug. So maybe we can try in another way, which is without the debug mode, and see how it. Now we can change the server and do it again. So now if we turn in the debug mode and we run this request, now we gotta stop this one first. No, it doesn't change. Yes, I need to. No, I need to. We have debug mode. So it's still. What I mean is that running scripts is okay as long as the program is correct. As soon as you have some errors, it can become a little tricky. That's why I'd like to present you another way of running requests, which is through VFP code. Let me run the server. Okay, here we are. Okay, this is another way. You see that the extension now is OFUG, and OFUG means that I'm going to process this request through a program. This is wired in Web Connect. Actually. So if I look at my process here, I'm going to find this code, and this code will be executed whenever I hit this URL. So now I'm pretty, it's pretty comfortable maybe to set a breakpoint. I can set a breakpoint here. Okay, say I play Control W, and then I run my server, and then I run that again, and this will stop my execution within the program. Okay. And I can run it, and I can even modify the program if I want to. I can modify this program and say HTML equals to, let's say, I can start with a comment, maybe. Then I save, then I rerun my request. I remove the breakpoint. I don't need the breakpoint anymore. Okay. Now I rerun the request, F5, and I can see the source code and I can see the comment that was added here. So this means that I can really, and if I make a mistake anywhere, here maybe I type NS, which is not correct. Let's enlarge this a little bit. Maybe I can put 14 here. Okay, here I type NS, which shouldn't be here because the table name is customer. And I save it and I rerun it. And here I will have an error popping up. I can say cancel, cancel. And unfortunately, we still have, no, I shouldn't say cancel. I should say, well, anyway, I say program cancel. So anyway, you can see that it's pretty easy to catch errors and to modify the program as you run. I mean, it's something that you can do pretty easily. You don't need to stop the server, and you can do quite a bunch of operations. Okay, I hope it's been clear enough for you. I'm afraid I'm running out of time. I think we've seen most of the tools I wanted to show you, and I just want to deliver you some tips and tricks for you to see how to start your web experience. So the first thing is client and server technologies are completely separate and independent. There is no relation, whatever relation you can imagine between HTML and whatever server technology you use. So your value is on the server, and I think it's better and it's safer to subcontract everything that deals with HTML, CSS, JavaScript to a web designer, because there are so many tricks, there are so many differences between the browsers that a web designer is better better for you. You can explore sites with Firebird. If you have, you can go for maybe you can go to Foxing Cloud and say I want to see what happens on Foxing Cloud. So you can see here that there are some posts going on, and you can explore the parameters of these posts, and you can see the CSS that were used on this site, and you can really learn from that. You can modify anything you want on the site. You can say here, hi, this one I want to have it red. So you can say, okay, color. So no, not red. You can say color. I want to have it blue, black, or blue, or whatever. Doesn't work. Looks like it doesn't work. This one maybe should. Anyway, color blue. Doesn't work actually. It looks like something is more important than that. Okay, blue. So you can experiment very easily with Firebird on any site. You can use VFP for the web, because the web is only producing text. So VFP is okay for producing text, and you have a variety of ways, either by scripting or by PRGs. You can generate HTML, CSS the way you want. And if you want something more complex, maybe you can look at an additional product such as Foxing Cloud or Yanja. If you really want to have many events, many possibilities, then it's maybe safer for you to run with a product like Foxing Cloud. Okay, and that's it. I've finished nearly on time, maybe 10 minutes later. But I thank you very much for your attention, and please ask any question you want on the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Thierry. You want to open up the microphones? We'll just let people talk if they've got questions.
The conference is now in conversation mode.
Okay, so I'm ready for any question you would have.
Thierry, you were showing you were doing your HTML in the Sublime editor, I think it was.
Yes.
You don't use any other tool that lets you preview all your HTML, huh?
No, I don't use any visual tool because you have everything you need here. You have completion. You can have automatic completion. You have many features, and normally you wouldn't use. I think Dreamweaver. I've been using Dreamweaver in the past, and frankly, it's too complicated. It takes a while to master all the possibilities that you have with Dreamweaver. And the most difficult thing is to share the resources between the pages. And it's so simple when you use Westwing Web Connect. You just need to call a method or do a file to string, and you're done. So I recommend using a text editor, actually.
Anybody else?
Terry, yeah, Mike Babcock asking a question. The last example you were giving when you were in VFP generating the HTML code, how did you save that to the page then that was in your browser?
Okay, you haven't seen the whole method, so maybe you can.
Yeah, so down below that, Thierry.
Okay, I'm going to put it larger maybe. So here, what we do is we have a local HTML, then we select, then we scan, and we add paragraphs to the HTML. And at the end, we just substitute HTML in whatever place we want. And then we have a text to HTML here. And at the end, I use always the same variable. I don't change the variable. I only have one. So I always put the variable elements into the variable and then put the surrounding element in the same variable here. And then I just response.write HTML. That's it.
And this is running in the Westwind web server thing?
And that goes through the Westwind server and goes back to IIS and goes back to the browser.
Okay, so you had to start OFUG server and then you open this up, which then feeds into that.
So you start the OFUG server, then you type the OFUG URL, which is here, which is here. And the only trick is that the extension is OFUG, is because I've defined in Westwind, I've defined that OFUG should call process. Let me show you that. If you take the server file here, you have somewhere here, you see, if the extension is OFUG, you do OFUG process. If the extension is OFUG, you should do OFUG process. And OFUG process runs on the URL stem. You see the stem here is the same as here. OFUG static dynamic.
Right.
And here is OFUG static dynamic. So the extension means that we go here, and the stem means that we execute this function.
At the top of this OFUG process PRG, is there something that calls that function, or
It's all
when it does
integrated.
its program?
Yeah, that's made by Westwind. When you start a new project, it will generate all this stuff for you, and all you got to do is put your custom method here. That's it.
Right. Okay.
And then you put whatever pages you want to do here. You write one method per page. If you want to do another page, you just add another function here, and etc. etc.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Just a general question on Fox and Cloud. When you buy Fox and Cloud, do you then have to buy Westwind Web Connection also, or is that included?
No, you may have bought it before, so we have not made how do you say it, a price for the whole. It's separated, but you need to have a license of Westwind Web Connect.
Okay, so it's two purchases.
Two purchases, right?
Okay.
No questions from anybody else? Okay, thanks, Thierry, for that. We were also going to do a show us your apps this week, but or this month. I don't think anybody had an app or an application they wanted to show.
Mm.
Show and tell? Nobody? Nobody? Okay, that'll wrap up OFUG for this month. Thanks again, Thierry. Thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, I send you a link to the Google document so that if people want to read the slides later on, they can have the link.